The knock on my door came at 8:51 p.m. on a Saturday night, and in that single moment, everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and family crumbled to dust. I'm Rachel, and I'm about to tell you how losing my husband and son taught me the most brutal lesson of my life, that blood doesn't make you family, and sometimes the people who are supposed to love you most will abandon you when you need them desperately. This isn't just another sad story. This is about what happens when grief strips away all the pretty lies we tell ourselves about the people closest to us. It's about discovering that some people will literally choose a vacation over attending a child's funeral. And it's about finding the strength to walk away from toxicity, even when it wears the mask of family. Sean and I had 15 years together, 15 years of the kind of love that made other couples jealous. He was 39, worked at the bank downtown, and could talk about fishing for hours without taking a breath. But his real passion was our son Alex and me. Alex was 12, straight A's, Little League champion, and still young enough to believe his parents could fix anything. We lived in this perfect little house where Alex's baseball trophies lined the mantel and Sean's fishing magazines created chaos on every surface. Sean had inherited a downtown apartment from his grandmother, but we didn't need it. So when my sister Vanessa and her husband Kevin mentioned they were struggling to save for their own place, we offered it to them. Rent-free. Because that's what family does, right? Family helps family. At least, that's what I believed back when I was naive enough to think family meant something. Vanessa is 3 years younger than me, and I'd always felt protective of her. She'd bounced through relationships like she was searching for something she couldn't name. When she married Kevin 2 years ago, him with his car salesman charm and her working as a dental office receptionist, I was genuinely happy for them. They weren't making much money, which is exactly why Sean and I wanted to help. My parents, Frank and Karen, lived 20 minutes away in the house where Vanessa and I grew up. Dad had retired from the post office, Mom from the library. They were in their 60s, dealing with typical aging issues, and I thought we had a solid relationship. I called them every few days, helped with groceries, fixed things around their house when Dad's arthritis flared up. I was the dutiful daughter, the reliable one who always showed up. That Saturday in January started like any normal weekend. Sean woke up buzzing with excitement about taking Alex fishing at Willow Lake. They'd been planning this trip all week, checking weather reports like meteorologists, organizing tackle boxes with scientific precision. They left around 8 in the morning, Sean's truck loaded with enough gear to catch every fish in the county and a cooler full of sandwiches I'd packed with extra love. I remember standing in the doorway, watching them drive away, thinking about how incredibly blessed I was. How perfect my little world felt in that moment. I spent the day doing ordinary Saturday things, cleaning, laundry, grocery shopping. Around 5, I started dinner, expecting them back any minute. Sean was religious about bedtime routines, always saying they'd be home by 6 because Alex had homework. 6 o'clock came and went. Then 7. I tried calling Sean's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Cell service at the lake was spotty, so I wasn't panicking yet. By 8, I was starting to pace, but I told myself they probably lost track of time or had car trouble. Then that doorbell rang at 8:51, and my stomach dropped so fast I thought I might collapse right there. When I opened the door and saw 2 police officers standing there, my body understood something terrible before my brain could process it. Officer Bradley and Officer Parker came into my living room, and Bradley sat across from me while Parker stood by the door. "Mrs. Clark, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but your husband and son were involved in a serious car accident this evening." The words hit me like a physical blow. "Are they okay? Where are they?" Bradley looked down at his notepad, buying time, searching for words that didn't exist. The accident occurred at approximately 6:15 p.m. on Route 29, about 5 miles from Willow Lake. A drunk driver ran a red light and hit your husband's truck on the driver's side. "Just tell me if they're alive," I whispered, my voice cracking. "Ma'am, your husband was pronounced dead at the scene." "I'm very sorry." The world went silent. Not quiet, completely silent. Like someone had hit a mute button on reality itself. Sean dead? That was impossible. He'd kissed me goodbye that morning, promised to bring home stories about all the fish they'd catch. What about Alex? "Your son is alive, but he's in critical condition. He suffered multiple injuries, including severe head trauma. He's been taken to St. Luke's Memorial Hospital and is currently in surgery. The next few hours exist in my memory like fragments of a broken mirror. Officer Parker drove me to the hospital while Bradley followed in my car. Waiting rooms with fluorescent lights that hurt my eyes. Doctors in scrubs using words I didn't want to understand. Traumatic brain injury, induced coma, touch and go. When I finally got to see Alex, he looked so small in that hospital bed, surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed like they were having conversations I couldn't join. His head was bandaged, his face swollen and bruised beyond recognition. Dr. Murphy, a kind woman with tired eyes, explained that they'd relieved the pressure on his brain, but there was no way to know when, or if, he'd wake up. I called my parents from the hospital that night. Mom answered on the third ring, her voice thick with sleep. "Rachel? It's almost midnight. What's wrong?" "Mom," I said, and then I couldn't say anything else because I was sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. "Honey, what happened?" "Sean's dead. There was an accident. Alex is in a coma." Silence. Then, "Oh my God." "Oh, Rachel. We'll be right there." But they didn't come right away. They came the next morning, looking uncomfortable and tired. Dad hugged me awkwardly, like he wasn't sure how much pressure to apply. Mom patted my shoulder the way you might comfort a distant acquaintance. They stayed for exactly 1 hour, asked a few questions about what happened, then said they needed to get home to make phone calls. "We'll help you with the funeral arrangements," Mom said. "Don't worry about anything." But when I called them the next day to talk about planning Sean's service, Mom's voice had changed. Distant. Distracted. "Actually, honey, we can't really help with the arrangements. Vanessa and Kevin are moving into Sean's apartment this week, and we promised we'd help them get settled." I was confused. "But Mom, Sean just died. The funeral is more important than helping them move." "Of course it is. But we already committed to this, and you know how Vanessa gets when plans change. We'll be at the funeral, of course. We just can't help with the planning." I hung up feeling more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. My husband was dead. My son was fighting for his life, and my family was worried about moving furniture. So I planned Sean's funeral completely alone. Every single decision, the funeral home, the flowers, the casket, the music, the readings. I made them all by myself while my family was busy helping Vanessa and Kevin settle into Sean's apartment like it was some kind of celebration. The service was simple but beautiful. People came, Sean's co-workers, our neighbors, friends from Alex's school. They said wonderful things about Sean, shared memories that made me smile even through my tears. My parents, Vanessa, and Kevin showed up at the last minute, sat through the ceremony looking like they'd rather be anywhere else, and left quickly afterward. After Sean died, I inherited everything he owned. The house, the downtown apartment, and his bank account with $800,000. Sean had been smart with money and had excellent life insurance. For the first time in my life, money wasn't a concern, which was the only good thing in my world at that point. I cut back to part-time at my accounting job. Money wasn't an issue anymore, and I wanted to spend every possible moment with Alex. The doctors said coma patients could sometimes hear voices, so I read to him every day. Harry Potter, his favorite adventure books, even his homework assignments from school. "Your teacher says you're doing great in math," I'd tell him, holding his small hand. "She's saving all your assignments for when you wake up." I talked to him about everything. Baseball scores, what was happening at school, funny things I saw on TV. I told him about his father, about how proud Sean would be that Alex was fighting so hard. But Alex never responded. His breathing was steady, his heart rate stable, but he never squeezed my hand back or showed any sign that he could hear me. 6 months passed in a blur of routine. Work in the mornings, hospital visits in the afternoons, lonely evenings at home. Vanessa and Kevin settled into the apartment nicely. They'd call occasionally to thank me for letting them stay there, but they never asked how Alex was doing or if I needed anything. My parents visited Alex exactly 3 times in those 6 months. Each visit lasted maybe 20 minutes before they found an excuse to leave. "Hospitals make me nervous," Mom would say. "Your father's arthritis is acting up. It was a Tuesday morning in July when Dr. Murphy called me at work. I was reviewing quarterly reports when my phone rang, and something in her voice made my blood turn cold. "Mrs. Clark, I need you to come in right away." I dropped everything and drove to the hospital with my heart hammering against my ribs. Dr. Murphy met me in the hallway outside Alex's room, and I knew immediately from her face that the news was bad. "Mrs. Clark, I'm very sorry. Alex passed away about an hour ago. His body just couldn't fight anymore." The words hit me like another accident, another collision that shattered what was left of my world. I actually stumbled backward and had to grab the wall to stay upright. But he was stable. Yesterday he looked the same as always. Sometimes with brain injuries this severe, the body just gives up. There was nothing more we could do. "I'm so sorry." I went into Alex's room and held him for the last time. He looked peaceful, like he was just sleeping. I kept expecting him to open his eyes and ask what was wrong, but he never did. My baby boy was gone. I drove home in a daze and sat in my empty house for hours, crying until I had no tears left. Then I picked up the phone and called my parents. "Mom, Alex died today." There was a pause. "Oh, Rachel. I'm sorry to hear that." Her voice was flat, almost businesslike. Not the voice of a grandmother who just lost her grandson. "I need help with the funeral arrangements. I can't do this alone again." "Well, that's going to be a problem. We can't help you with that, and we won't be able to attend the funeral either." I thought I'd misheard her. "What?" "Tomorrow we're flying to Mexico with Vanessa and Kevin for a family vacation. We've had this planned for months." "Mom, my son just died." "Your grandson just died. Surely you can reschedule a vacation." "Absolutely not. Do you have any idea how much money we spent on this trip? $8,000. The vouchers can't be rescheduled or we'll lose everything." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're choosing a vacation over Alex's funeral? Rachel, you're a strong woman. You'll cope with this on your own, just like you did with Sean's funeral. You don't really need us there." And then she hung up. I sat there staring at the phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. Before I could even process what had just happened, my phone rang again. It was Vanessa. "Rachel, Mom just called me. Look, I'm really sorry about Alex, but there's no way we're canceling this trip." She didn't sound sorry at all. She sounded annoyed. "Vanessa, it's Alex's funeral. He's your nephew. And his death is your problem, not mine," she shouted. "I'm pregnant now, okay? This might be my last chance to relax and have fun before the baby comes. I've been looking forward to this trip for months, and I'm not giving it up because your son died." I was so shocked by her cruelty that I couldn't speak. "You have no right to expect us to cancel our vacation. We already paid for everything and I need this break. So deal with your own problems and leave us alone." She hung up too. I sat in my living room in complete silence. In the span of 10 minutes, my family had made it clear that a vacation was more important to them than my dead child. That I was completely alone in this world. But something happened in that moment of absolute abandonment. For the first time since Sean's accident, my mind was completely clear. I knew exactly what I had to do. First, I would bury my son. Then, I would deal with my family. I called my friend Susan, and she came over immediately. Together, we planned Alex's funeral. Just like with Sean, I made all the decisions myself. But this time, I wasn't expecting my family to show up. Alex's funeral was held on a Thursday morning. It was a small service with me, Susan, a few of Sean's co-workers who remembered Alex, and Mrs. Davis, Alex's teacher, who had driven an hour to be there. The pastor spoke about how Alex was reunited with his father in heaven, and I tried to find comfort in that thought. I didn't cry during the service. I'd done all my crying at home. Instead, I felt this strange sense of calm, like I was watching everything happen to someone else. When they lowered Alex's small casket into the ground next to Sean's grave, I stood there thinking about how my entire family was on a beach in Mexico while I buried my child. After the funeral, I went straight to work. I had things to do, and I needed to do them by myself. The first thing I did was drive to Sean's apartment where Vanessa and Kevin lived. I had a key, of course I did, it was my apartment. I let myself in and started packing their belongings methodically. Everything. Clothes, books, kitchen stuff, that ugly lamp Kevin's mother had given them. I packed it all into boxes and garbage bags, working quietly and efficiently. It took me 3 hours to pack up their entire life. While I worked, I thought about how they were probably sipping drinks by the pool right now, posting photos on social media, having the time of their lives while I was alone at my son's funeral. I called a moving company and paid them extra to come out the same day. I had them take everything to my parents' house. But instead of being neat about it, I had the movers dump everything in a pile in their living room. Boxes, bags, loose items, all of it just thrown together in the middle of their carpet. Then I called a locksmith and had all the locks changed on the apartment. New deadbolt, new doorknob, new everything. Vanessa and Kevin's keys wouldn't work anymore. Next, I went home and opened my laptop. I logged into my bank account and started canceling automatic payments. I'd been paying for so many things for my family over the years that I'd almost forgotten about some of them. My parents' car insurance, canceled. Their health insurance supplement, canceled. The subscription to Dad's woodworking magazine, canceled. Mom's Netflix account that she could never figure out how to pay for herself, canceled. The monthly payment I made to their credit card to help with groceries, canceled. Vanessa's phone bill, canceled. Her car payment that I'd been helping with since she got married, canceled. The gym membership I'd bought her as a wedding gift, canceled. As I went through each cancellation, I remembered why I'd started paying for these things in the first place. The car insurance was when Dad retired and money got tight. The phone bill was when Vanessa couldn't find a job after college. The car payment was a wedding gift because I wanted to help them start their marriage debt-free. I'd been so generous with my family, so eager to help whenever they needed money. I'd paid for Vanessa's entire wedding, $23,000, because I wanted her to have the perfect day. When Mom needed new glasses last year, I bought them. When Dad's truck needed repairs, I covered it. Looking at all those canceled payments, I realized I'd been giving my family about $3,000 a month. Every month, 4 years. While I was doing this, my phone buzzed with notifications. Vanessa was posting photos from Mexico on Instagram and Facebook. Her and Kevin on the beach, looking tanned and happy. My parents at a beachside restaurant, smiling and raising their drinks in a toast. Vanessa had captioned one photo, "So grateful to be here with my amazing family who supports me in everything." I screenshot every photo, every caption. I wanted to remember this moment. This feeling of absolute clarity about who these people really were. 3 days passed. I went to work, came home, made dinner for one, and waited. I knew they'd be back from Mexico soon, and I was actually looking forward to their return. On Sunday evening, my phone started ringing. First my parents, then Vanessa, then Kevin, then my parents again. I didn't answer any of the calls. I was sitting in my living room, sorting through Alex's belongings to donate to charity, and I let the phone ring and ring. The voicemails started after about an hour of unanswered calls. Mom's voice, tight with anger, "Rachel, what did you do to Vanessa's apartment? Why are all their things here? Call me back right now." I deleted all the voicemails without listening to them completely. Then I blocked all their numbers. But they didn't give up. Around 10 o'clock, I heard cars pulling into my driveway. Then loud knocking on my front door. "Rachel, open this door right now," Vanessa was shouting. I looked out the window and saw all 4 of them standing on my porch. They looked angry and confused and tired from their flight. Vanessa was pounding on the door with her fist. I took a deep breath and walked to the door. This conversation was going to happen whether I wanted it or not, and I was ready for it. I opened the door and looked at their faces. Vanessa's was red with anger. Kevin looked embarrassed. My parents looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. "We need to talk," Mom said, pushing past me into my house. They all followed her into my living room and stood there looking at me like I'd committed some terrible crime. "What the hell did you think you were doing?" Vanessa demanded. Our stuff is thrown all over Mom and Dad's house like garbage, and we can't get into our apartment. I looked at her calmly. It's not your apartment anymore. I changed the locks. You're evicted. Vanessa's mouth dropped open. You can't evict us. We have rights. Actually, I can. It's my apartment. I inherited it when Sean died. I've been letting you live there rent-free as a favor, but that favor is over. Vanessa stepped forward aggressively. Look, I get that you're upset about Alex, okay? But that doesn't give you the right to destroy our lives. We have nowhere to go. You should have thought about that before you told me his death was my problem and not yours. The silence in my living room was deafening. Vanessa looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. She knew exactly what she'd said to me, and she knew I remembered every word. I was upset, Vanessa said weakly. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. You told me my son's death was my problem, not yours. You said you needed to relax before your baby came, so Alex's funeral wasn't important enough to cancel your vacation for. Mom stepped forward. Rachel, you're taking this too far. We understand you're upset, but this isn't how family treats each other. I almost laughed. Family? You think we're family? Of course we're family, Dad said. We've had our problems, but we can work through this. Vanessa suddenly got a calculating look in her eyes. I understand everything now. You've taught me a lesson, and I get it. So now you can give me the new apartment keys, right? No, I said simply. Her face fell. What do you mean, no? I mean my decision is final. You don't live in my apartment anymore. Find somewhere else. But I'm pregnant, Vanessa screamed. We have nowhere to go. You can't just throw a pregnant woman out on the street. You should have thought about that before you chose Mexico over my son's funeral. Vanessa stared at me for a moment, then her face twisted with pure venom. I know what this is really about. You're jealous because I'm having a baby and your son is dead. The room went completely silent. Even Kevin looked shocked. You've lost your mind because Alex died, and now you're taking it out on me because I'm pregnant and happy. You can't stand that I'm moving on with my life while you're stuck grieving over a kid who wasn't even that special anyway. I felt something cold and final settle in my chest. Get out. All of you. Get out of my house right now. Mom tried to salvage the situation. Rachel, Vanessa is right that you're not thinking clearly. You're grieving and you're making decisions that will hurt our family permanently. I am thinking clearly. I'm calmer than I've been in months. And since Vanessa is right that I've lost my mind, you probably shouldn't be around me. Leave. What about all the money? Mom blurted out. You can't just cut us off financially. We depend on that help. There it was. The real reason they were here. Not because they missed me or wanted to apologize. Because I'd stopped paying their bills. I've canceled all the automatic payments. Your car insurance, your health supplements, your credit card payments, Vanessa's phone bill, her car payment, her gym membership, all of it. You're on your own now. Mom started crying. Actually crying. Rachel, please. We can't afford all that on our own. We're retired. We live on a fixed income. You had $8,000 for a vacation to Mexico. Figure it out. They finally left, Vanessa still screaming about how unfair I was being and how she'd get a lawyer. I locked the door behind them and felt lighter than I had in years. 2 weeks passed peacefully. They tried calling and texting from different numbers, but I blocked each one. I ignored emails and letters. I didn't answer my door when they showed up. Then Vanessa made a mistake. She posted on Facebook about how cruel and vindictive I was being. She wrote a long post about how I'd kicked my pregnant sister out of her home and cut off my elderly parents financially just because they'd taken a vacation. She painted herself as the victim and me as a monster who'd had a mental breakdown. Her friends started commenting, expressing outrage at my behavior. How could she do that to her own family? One wrote. Pregnant women need support, not cruelty, wrote another. But then other people started commenting. People who remembered that Alex had died. People who had been at Sean's funeral. People who knew the timeline. They weren't at Alex's funeral, wrote Mrs. Davis, Alex's teacher. But he was their grandson and nephew. More people started putting the pieces together. Family, friends, neighbors, people from church. They started asking why Vanessa's family had been on vacation during a child's funeral. Finally, I wrote one comment. Just one. Vanessa, you're right that our family relationships are damaged. They were damaged when you, Kevin, Mom, and Dad chose to go on vacation instead of attending my 12-year-old son's funeral. You told me his death was my problem, not yours, and that your vacation was more important than saying goodbye to Alex. I hope Mexico was worth it. The comments exploded after that. People were horrified. Vanessa's post backfired completely, and she deleted it within hours, but screenshots had already been shared everywhere. 6 months have passed since then. I haven't spoken to any of them. I rented out Sean's apartment to a nice young couple who pay market rate. I quit my job and I'm traveling now, something Sean and I always talked about doing but never had time for. I've been to Ireland, Italy, and Japan. When I finish this journey, I'm moving to Colorado. I've always loved the mountains, and there's nothing keeping me in my hometown anymore. People ask if I miss my family. The honest answer is no. I miss the family I thought I had, but that family never actually existed. The real family, the one that chose a vacation over a child's funeral, I don't miss at all. I'm 38 now, and for the first time in my adult life, I'm completely free. Free from people who took my generosity for granted, who valued money and convenience over love and loyalty. Free to build a new life somewhere else with people who actually care about me. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most will show you exactly who they are when you need them most. And sometimes, that's the greatest gift they can give you, the clarity to walk away and find your real family among the people who choose to show up when it matters. Thanks for listening, and if this story touched your heart, please share it with others who might need to hear it. Don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about finding strength in our darkest moments and discovering that sometimes the most painful goodbyes lead us to the peace we never knew we needed. Family isn't always blood. It's the people in your life who want you in theirs.